Good morning, guys. We are here in this virtual session. Please tell me if you can hear me. We already started. So tell me, how are you in this day? Can you hear me? We are going to start with this virtual session. And tell me if you can hear me. I can see that some of you are already here. Yeah? Do you hear me? Okay, well, so we start with this virtual session number 1 because we are having 2 exactly the same in a week, Wednesday at 9 a.m. Okay, so welcome to all of you. And I will start explaining to you this topic that I already started in class, so maybe some of you have some notes about this topic, but if you don't, please take your notebook, your history notebook if you have it. If you don't, no problem, take another and take some notes, okay? And, later, if it is possible, I will take this topic once more because it's quite important. Okay, in Schoology you already have some activities, but these activities are about the following topics. So before we start with that, with those ones, I need to explain this one because if you don't have the knowledge of this topic, you are not going to understand the following. Okay, so this is a topic that we started in class that actually contains to the Constitution of 1824 and the difficulties in consolidating the nation. Okay, so welcome to everyone, and we are starting. Okay, so as I told you, we have 2 topics: the target learning. If it is not possible to copy the target learning as well as the quote, no problem. For me, it's more important the content, okay? And if you want to consult later this topic, you can do it in your book in the pages, well, from 124 to 127, okay, for more information. So now, I would like to start with a question for you, and I want to read your comments, okay? So if you want to answer this question, please do it in the chat, okay? Oh, and another thing, please be respectful with the comments, okay? I don't want any problem with your comments, so we are using these comments only for having some ideas related to the topic, okay? So be respectful, please. And well, the question for you is the following, and it says, which difficulties could Mexico go through to be considered an independent nation? Remember that after the independence, we have crisis, okay? If you thought that we will have peace and everything will be right for our country, we were wrong. This is another topic that we also check, the crisis after war. And that it's about all the situations that took place in our country, like for example, all the Spanish merchants took their wealth back to Spain. Several silver mines were destroyed during the rebellions in independence. There was unemployment, and as a consequence, crime. So these are some examples of that crisis. But now, which other difficulties could Mexico go through to be considered an independent nation? Okay, so I'm reading your comments, and it says, Pepe, for example, he said bankrupt. Okay. Paulina, economic crisis. Yes. Okay, Dul, good. The problem of choosing a leader, exactly. Because remember that we had in the past viceroys. But now, well, that was another problem. And Sam says other countries wanted to conquer Mexico. Okay, good. New taxes, good, Nara. Yes. Unemployment, yeah. Okay. Poor people, delinquency, great. Okay. So, all of you were completely right. Okay. So now I will explain to you this topic step by step. I'm not sure if you have these notes in your notebook, but I will leave the slide for a while. Meanwhile, I'm explaining to you each one of the points included here. Okay, so here we go. Well, to to summarize this topic, I include these 6 aspects. Okay, so. Uh, we start with the confrontation of different groups. Okay, so as Dul mentioned, now the problem was to choose the leader who will rule Mexico in that time after the independence. Okay, so there was confrontation, and that confrontation was between these 2 groups, the liberals and the conservatives. Okay, but first we need to understand something. Okay, there were 2 models of political organization. Okay, the first one was the centralist, that it's considered a political doctrine that centers the power in only an authority. Okay, in only an authority, centralism. But on the other side, there was another doctrine. That doctrine was called federalism. Okay, federalism was about distributing the power in an association of states or provinces, quite similar to the distribution that we have nowadays. Okay, so we have those 2 ways of thinking about the government, and we have on one side the centralism and on the other federalism. And from these 2 doctrines, we have 2 groups that we call later liberals and conservatives. Okay, but this is a topic that you are going to check later, so I'm not going to explain a lot about this. But what we need to have clear, it's the difference. Okay, one wanted to center the power in only a person, and the other distributes the power in its states. Okay, so now, well, after this point, we have our first Mexican government. But guess what? That Mexican government wasn't a republic as we have today. It was an empire. Okay, and in this empire, we have as the main figure to Agustin de Iturbide. Just to refresh your mind, remember that Agustin de Iturbide was the main figure in the last stage of the independence. Could you tell me which was the last stage of the independence, please? Could you tell me? Write in your comments. Which was the last stage of the independence in which Agustin de Iturbide was the main figure? Please. Okay. I'm reading your comments. Conclusion, no. Well, consummation, exactly. Good, Pepe. Good, right. Exactly. Good, Paola. Consummation, okay? So remember, don't forget Agustin de Iturbide, because now it's one of the most relevant figures in this topic, okay? The name of the topic, because some of you are asking, is difficulties in consolidating the nation. Okay, so now, well, I continue. So as I was telling you, now Mexico has its own Mexican government, okay? But it was an empire. And their main ruler was Agustin de Iturbide. Okay? But check this. This first Mexican empire existed only during 9 months, okay? From July 21st, 1822 to March 19, 1823. So I'm repeating. This first Mexican empire only existed during 9 months, from July 21st, 1822 to March 19th, 1823. Okay? And this is considered the first independent government of this country. Okay? Well, Agustin Iturbide was chosen by a Congress, but during his government, he made wrong decisions. Wrong decisions, such as, for example, he increased the taxes and eliminated the freedom of press. Okay, so those are some examples of the wrong decisions that Agustin de Iturbide made. Okay, well, for the ones who are now in our virtual session, at the beginning of this one, I mentioned that please take some notes in your notebook, in your history notebook if you have it, or if you don't, no problem. Use another and take your notes, okay? Well, now, as I was telling you, so Agustin Iturbide made terrible decisions, and something curious about this period is that in this period, our first national symbols were established. Okay, that's a curiosity for you. Well, because of this problem of Iturbide's decision, he got lots of enemies. Okay, and some of his enemies were, for example, Nicolás Bravo, Vicente Guerrero. Imagine now, he was his enemy. Remember that in the past, during the consummation, together, Guerrero and Iturbide, they created the new army. That was called the Army of the Three Guarantees. Remember that? And with that army, they reached the consummation of the independence. But now the situation was different, because now Guerrero was Iturbide's enemy, okay, as well as Guadalupe Victoria. All these characters, Nicolás Bravo, Vicente Guerrero, and Guadalupe Victoria, in the past, all of them were together in order to reach the independence. But now the situation changed, and they were against Iturbide and his government. Okay, and well, here it's where we have a new character that actually you did a homework about this controversial person, and it's called Antonio López de Santana. Okay, so Antonio López de Santana, it's a figure that appears here. Well, actually, he belonged to the royalist side, okay? But with the creation of the Army of the Three Guarantees, now he belonged to this one, okay? So, knowing this situation about Iturbide and his government and his terrible decisions against the society and Mexico, well, Antonio López de Santana proclaimed a plan, okay? That plan was called Plan of Casamata, okay? He established this plan, okay? And in this document, it is established that the Mexican state wouldn't be a monarchy anymore, but now a republic, okay? As we are nowadays, okay? So, but he counted with the support of other soldiers, as I previously mentioned, like Vicente Guerrero, Nicolás Bravo, and now we have another person called José Antonio Echavarri. Okay, José Antonio Echavarri belonged to the royalists as well as Antonio López de Santana. Okay, and together carry out a coup d'etat. That's not an English word, okay? Actually, I'm writing it. Coup d'etat means in Spanish, golpe de estado, okay? I will write it in the chat for you to check the word, okay? So they perform a coup d'etat in order to take Iturbide out of his government. So together with this plan of Casamata, that was the objective that they wanted to reach, okay? To take Iturbide out of the empire, okay? Well, I wrote the word in the chat for you to check, okay? Because it's not an English word. Well, with this plan that was successful, Iturbide and his family were exiled. They were exiled and they went to live to Italy. To Italy. But meanwhile, here in our country, there were several uprisings in favor of his return. So maybe a group of the society in Mexico wanted Iturbide to come back, okay? But in order to avoid this situation, okay, his enemies got that Iturbide was declared as a betrayer or as a traitor, okay, and public enemy of Mexico, okay. But guess what? Iturbide didn't know this situation. He didn't know anything about this situation, that now he was considered a betrayer, and he came back to Mexican territory in 1824. Okay? In 1824, he came back to our territory, and because he was considered a public enemy, he is arrested and executed by firing squad. So now, tell me in your comments, what do you think about this situation? First, he was a relevant figure because he was the consummator of the independence. He did something positive in favor of our country. And later, well, he was considered a public enemy, but because of all the wrong decisions that he made. Okay? So, well, after his execution, okay, was established a constituent congress, like a provisional government, okay? And with this, we have the first election of the first president. And could you tell me that you have it there in the presentation, who was the first Mexican president? You have it in the presentation, but just for me to check if you are reading the slide or not. Who was the first president of Mexico? Tell me. Okay. And Pepe says he didn't deserve die, only arrested. Well, maybe. Exactly. Guadalupe Victoria. Okay, so Guadalupe Victoria, great. It's considered the first Mexican president, okay? Well, and he was president from October 10th, 1824 to March 31st, 1829, okay? I'm writing it in the chat for you to check, okay? So he was president from October 10th, 1824 to March 31st, 1829, okay? Guadalupe Victoria, the first president, okay? And a curiosity for you, he named himself like this, Guadalupe Victoria, because of two reasons. Okay, the first one, Guadalupe, because of the belief of the Virgin of Guadalupe, remember, and Catholicism, and Victoria, because of the victory of the independence. Okay, so well, let's continue. Questions, guys? Please let me know in your comments if you have any questions, okay? Now, have you already copied the slide? Because now I will change it and I will show you another thing. Sorry, I made a mistake. 1829, yeah. Sorry. Thank you, Sam. Sorry. 1829. So he was only in the power 5 years. 5 years. Sorry. Exactly. Okay. So now we continue. After this, well, I will show you some pictures, okay? So as I was telling you, we have Antonio Lopez de Santana with this other man called Antonio de Echavarri. Both belong to the royalist side, okay, during the stages of the independence, okay. For example, during the resistance stage, they belong to the royalists, okay. But then, with the creation of the Army of the Three Guarantees, well, now they belong to the other side. Okay. Well, together proclaim this plant that I previously mentioned, plant of Casamata, in which Mexico was considered now a republic, not a monarchy anymore. Okay. So now, and they performed a coup d'état, as I mentioned it. It's not an English word. In Spanish, we know it as golpe de estado, and they take Iturbide out of the empire. Okay, well, then after this, I will show you these pictures just to emphasize. Remember, Agustín de Iturbide was the emperor of Mexico in this period of time. From 1822 to 1823. So remember, 1 year later, the consummation of the independence, that was in 1821, Iturbide was proclaimed, was appointed as emperor of Mexico from 1822 to 1823. Okay. But he wasn't a president. He was an emperor, because in that time, Mexico was a monarchy, okay? And after this coup d'etat and the plan of Casamata, now Guadalupe Victoria was elected as the first president of Mexico, okay? In a period of time from 1824 to 1829, okay? Yes, question? Oh, well, Pepe asked me about when Iturbide died. Well, he was executed in 1824. Okay, remember that first he came back to Mexico, but he didn't know anything about that he was considered a public enemy, a betrayer, and he was executed by firing a squad. Okay, so well, questions? Questions in this part? No? Okay, so well, tell me if you have any other question and I will be answering. So now, after this, let me tell you some features of the new government that now was a republic, okay? And this new government had many positive aspects, okay? The first one, slavery was abolished, okay? Abolition of slavery. So no slavery anymore. Okay, then another fact was the expulsion of the Spanish. So the last Spaniards were expelled during Guadalupe Victoria's government, the last Spaniards, and we are going to check it in the following session, okay? So the last Spaniards who still live in Mexico were expelled, okay? And well, Guadalupe Victoria established diplomatic relationships with other countries, okay? And well, as I was telling you, his real name was José Miguel Ramón Adauto Fernández y Félix, okay? But now he changed, well, his name to Guadalupe Victoria, as I was telling you. Guadalupe, because of the belief that they have in the Virgin of Guadalupe, because remember that they practice Catholicism, and Victoria because of the victory that they reached with the independence. Okay, so any question? Um, it says, Damaso, why do we change our government system? Okay, remember, Damaso. In the beginning, the first Mexican government was a monarchy, and the figure was Iturbide. He was the ruler, but he was an emperor. And he made terrible decisions such as increasing taxes, eliminating the freedom of press, and others. Okay, and in certain moments he was considered his government was considered as a dictatorship. And that's why they created Santana and Echavarri and other characters this plan of Casamata, and with this they established Mexico as a republic. Okay. And never answers. Because we were an empire before the independence. Exactly. And they didn't want another empire. Okay, that was another fact. Okay. So, question about Guadalupe Victoria's government? Okay, thank you. So now, after this election of the new president of Mexico, now we have the proclamation of another constitution. Remember that the first constitution was the one in 1812, okay, or the Cadiz Constitution. But that constitution wasn't Mexican at all, okay, because it was proclaimed in Spain. Then 2 years later, we have the Apatzingan Constitution, okay, with Morelos. Well, after that, the following constitution that comes, okay, after the consummation and the empire, because that was the first empire, there was another empire, the second empire that we are going to see in the following sessions. But this was the first empire, okay? After the first empire, we have another constitution that was proclaimed in 1824. And I think these notes, some of you, I don't remember which group already has it, but if you don't, no problem, okay? Check in your notes if you already have the features of the Constitution of 1824, and if you already have them, do not write anything. If you don't, please take some notes, okay? So, as I was telling you, after Iturbide's empire, we have the proclamation of the Constitution of 1824, okay? And that constitution was quite important because, now this was a new document to rule, to guide the new nation, okay? So these are some of the features of this document, okay? First one, this document contained 171 articles, okay? And recognized 19 states and a federal district, okay? Then, this constitution was the first as independent Mexico. So that's why I'm telling you that this document was quite special, because as you can see, the others were proclaimed before the independence. And now this was after the independence. Now we have this document and we receive it as independent Mexico, okay? Well, after Iturbide's empire, there was a provisional government, okay? Because everything was a mess, okay? Well, and that provisional government was called a Constituent Congress, okay? And during this meeting of this Constituent Congress, a group of laws was created, okay? The original name of this document was Federal Constitution of the United States of Mexico. Okay, we know it as Constitution of 1824, but the original name was Federal Constitution of the United States of Mexico. And well, this document declares Mexico as a free and independent country and announces that the power will be tripartite. And we have it there in the slide, 3 powers, okay? That we have them: legislative, executive, and judicial, okay? And to conclude, this document was proclaimed on October 4th, 1824, okay? So, well, it was a little bit long, this topic, okay? But remember, first we analyze the difficulties in consolidating Mexico as nation, because with Iturbide as the ruler, it was a monarchy. Then with the plan of Casamata, Mexico was declared as an independent nation, a republic, okay? After Iturbide's empire, we have the proclamation of this document called the Constitution of 1824, or the Federal Constitution of the United States of Mexico, okay? Okay, so I have concluded this topic, okay? I really hope that you took your notes, okay? Because some groups already have them, okay? But please, I want you to do the activities in Schoology. This week you have like 4 activities, and then the next you will have more, okay? And don't forget, our next session, virtual session, will be exactly in a week, next Wednesday at 9 a.m., okay? And we will have another topic, okay? But if you have any doubt, any comment, you can write me an email. And please don't forget that every activity that you do established in Schoology, you need to upload your evidences, okay? Because that's important. If there is not evidence, it doesn't count, okay? So guys, I really wish you have a nice date. So we know that it's a hard situation, but we are living as a country. Now we are facing another difficulty, but it's different than the one that suffer in the past, okay? But please try to have fun, to read, to study, to do your activities, and we see you exactly in a week, okay? So blessings for you and your family, and we see you in a week. Have a nice day, guys.